Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And let's go and take a look where the euro is coming. Currently, right now, is down 14 at 22, basically 22 even. And actually, no, on the chart where it shows the euro, but and got cable at 41.32. Actually, on its lows at this point. And the Aussie actually down 16 at 77.84, with the dollar yen up 21 at 971. And let's take a look as far as data right now. Okay, now did get German retail sales that came in about a couple hours ago. Came in at down negative 5.5%. Then we got Spanish unemployment, which came in at minus 129,000. At the bottom of the hour, we will have DOE consumer credit out of the UK, obviously. And let's see here. And at the top of this next hour, we will have Eurozone PPI. And then rolling into the States, we do get Canadian building permits. And then Dallas Fed Services number will be out. And that will be it. Does stay here at around noontime U.S. time. Lagarde will actually be speaking. And it says Germans President Bush speaks. So let's go and take a look where we stand here as far as equities where we're on right now, which is on the S&Ps. Looks like we did go in and dip back down here towards this 41.92. To revisit that, we're pushing back up towards 41.96. Take a look at yesterday, as you can see how we finished with this, almost like, well, obviously like a gravestone doji. It's only one day, but it certainly wasn't a very good finish. I mean, we started out the day very, very strong, pushing up on the open, and then we just literally just started fading right from the get-go. Here's on the 2-hour chart. You can see it's a little bit more clear that way. And see here, we pushed right into 42.30, and then the market just completely ran out of gas and just started selling off. We spent most of the day right around that 42.04, dipping under 4,200 a couple of times. And then in the afternoon, trying to make a last run up, got up to about 42.03, and then quickly started dipping right back down again. And we spent most of the European session, not the European, but the Asian session on this pushing back. Take a look where we stand here with gold, and you can see here that on the 2-hour chart, gold had posted a gravestone doji yesterday, and we're still holding up relatively well, but certainly looks like we may be open for a pullback. Crude's been going just bananas up here and still trading up here at $68. I think the door is open for a little bit of a pullback, but we shall go and see. I mean, after a strong move, it's definitely bullish, but just maybe just a little bit stretched here. And the economic news is pretty light at this point. So we're going to jump into the analysis. So here we are on the euro, and the euro itself also posted like a gravestone doji here yesterday, pushing down a little bit further. And we started out the week. It just seemed like the market still wasn't sure when to go and play itself out. It was open on either side, but looks like we weren't able to get really past this 22.54, and we've opened the door for just easing back a bit. So the euro posted a gravestone doji on Tuesday as the market struggled to get past 22.54. Resistance on Wednesday will be 22.48 with support at 21.62. And onto the cable. Now, cable finally reached that 42.41. We've been looking for that area for almost a couple weeks that potentially it could get to. Looked like it's going to end up ultimately coming up short, but we made that last gas run at the end of last week and got that push, and you can see that here. We pull this further out. We've had that 42.41. It got up to 42.50, but you can see that 42.41 on the weekly chart. So we made it right back up there again. Let's move it back to the daily. So the cable finally breached the weekly level of 42.41 before finding a plethora of offers and fading 100 pips. Resistance for Wednesday will be 42.02 with support at 41.14. You can see we're definitely on a little bit on the low side here. And onto the Aussie dollar. So we're just still hanging around here. It just seems like this. We got a consecutive move higher, and here we are we're actually just giving all of these trades back. If the market would have closed here, it would actually be a bearish engulfing cloud. But so the Aussie rallied for consecutive days as 77 cents was defended last week. Resistance remains 77.87. That's at 77.87 right there. With support for Wednesday at 77.09. So we'll turn around and giving everything back we got yesterday. And 77.87 on the upside. On to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen continued its pair back on Tuesday following the break of 110 last week. We saw that gravestone doji on Friday. Resistance for Wednesday will be 983, which we're almost there, with support at 928. And let's go to the cash dollar index. So the dollar index was trapped in a tight range on Tuesday, managing to close slightly positive. Resistance for Wednesday will be 90.20. We're at 90.06 right now, with support at 89.57. And let's go and move into Bitcoin. Obviously, accidentally tapped into the Bitcoin there. A little bit of push up with Bitcoin, although we're stuck in this area right here. But that's on the daily chart. We were just looking previously at the 2-hour chart. Bitcoin continues to languish in the 35,000 area without a move above the 40,000. The market will have to move to the mid 20s for balance. Resistance for Wednesday will be 39,340 with support at 33,280. So 33,280. And give it a little bit more leeway. It hasn't been able to do that, but you can see here we're trying to help hold this low here. We got down to 33,286 the other day, and we're just it doesn't appear as much of a tight range, but if you look on the daily chart, we just haven't been able to move it unless we can really get a foothold above this 40,000. Really, the door's open for us to want to push back, push lower, and go into the upper mid 20s, about 24,000. And let's go on and move into the spoons. So yesterday, as I mentioned, we were pushing, going towards the U.S. Open. We got the U.S. Open. We pushed up here to 42.30. Looked like we could even push further. The market paired back. Looked like they would. If they did pair back, you'd find buyers around 42.21, if not 15, and we just kept going lower and lower. And once we broke past 42.12, really opened the door. And I remember noting that the chat room, hey, look, the door's open now for us to go test 42.04. And wow, they made a beeline to 42.04 rather quickly. And then we just struggled to go. Even when we rallied up 42.04, I think we've only made it up to about 42.09. We rolled back lower, got below 42. I think we got down to about 40.98. We bounced off of that and made up to about 6, I believe. And then we rolled right back down again and struggled. I think we went down to 197, I think, or 6. And then we bounced back up to 42.03 and we went right back down and pushed down to the Asian session towards 41.92, I believe it was. And then we made a run and now we dipped back here lower at this point. And you can see it more clearly on the 2-hour chart. So looking ahead, this market, the real resistance comes in at 42.11 if they can even get beyond that. Now that would just take out the highs here, but if you look at it, it's going to be, and here's 42.11.5. Let's just call it 42.12. Probably won't come that close to that, but that would be initial resistance. Support. Well, the problem with the SPOOs right now, and I remember mentioning this in the chat room. If they really, if they close below 42.04, which they did, really opens the door for us to challenge down to around the next area. Uh, Not necessarily today, but over the next couple of days would be the 41.78 area. We did close below 42.04, but we've had a long run. I mean, we've had a pretty big, wide area already when we went to 42.30 yesterday. So to immediately think, okay, we're going to get there quickly, I don't believe that would necessarily be the case. But the door's open for them to push lower here. If they do, let's go with 41.84. On the way down, I think we'll have support at around 41.88 before we even get to take out those lows. 88 then, but 84 will be key here in the S&Ps. And let's go move into the NASDAQ. To a certain extent, the Nasdaq held up a little bit better than the S&Ps yesterday, and the Nasdaq actually kept trying to rally, but the S&Ps just were like a ball and chain, really working hard on this thing. And you can see how we closed out yesterday. If you look here, a doji, you might want to look at it maybe as a medium-legged doji, but you can see that we stayed almost in balance. This was the entire last week. So we stayed close to it. We actually closed just a little bit below this, and we're not pressing much on the downside. It's really the doors open for us to go down to, let's take a look here. If we break it down. There's that 13,570, which is a 23% back. Here's probably where they go to 13,541, and with some support at 13,570. So let's go. We may find support at 70 initially. Then if we bounce back up, and then ultimately we may try to make a run for 13,541. On the upside, well, they had a pretty tough time they tried to go move higher, but the S&Ps were really a drag. We have to see how S&Ps play out in the U.S. session. Support, but resistance right from the get-go is going to be 13,676. And that's not even saying much, but this will be the real resistance here, 13,692. And let's go move into the gold market. So gold posted a medium-legged doji on Tuesday, suggesting the market may be open for a pause to refresh. Resistance on Wednesday will be 1916, and you can see that right there. It actually comes in a little bit lower. Let's just call it 1915. We're support at 1892, and we're looking right across here. So 1892 makes sense there. Still very bullish, but and the next key area, um, because we have NFP this week, is going to be that 1930 area, 1930. But at least for now, the market looks like it's open for a pullback. We'll have to see how the week plays out, but certainly that support coming below is going to be 1892. And let's go and move into the crude oil market. So crude oil posted another solid advance on Tuesday, closing at 67.97. Resistance for Wednesday will be 68.50. With support at 67.67. They're still holding up very well here. So it almost seems maybe a little bit crazy to have it that close, but it's holding up very, very well. So we've got it at 67.67, and that might be just a bit close. I think this $68 is pretty key there. Intraday, we're going to go with the 68.50, but I think we have to move this support a little bit lower. Boy, this is one heck of a run. Look at that. $7 run, actually $8 basically. Unbelievable. There we go, right there. 67.26. Let's call it 67.26. As far as the SPOOs, holding up here at the basically 41.98 high volume mark here. And if we look at the profile since the open, right there is the point of control right now. And we actually were trading right there. We're just maybe we're going to go on pair back a little bit. We did go on to get up here to this 42.03, but we did that. You can see here we did that early on in the Asian session. Didn't make another run back up and hold it near this 42.01. But this market has really got to get get above this 42.06 initially, or this market really opens the door for us to move lower, especially after yesterday's action. And certainly you can see how bearish it looks here. Bearish in the short term. Obviously, this definitely still remains a bullish market, but we're a little bit overdone. First of the month, we start out real strong, and then we finish rather weak. Not what you normally see. So the door's open for us to, over the next couple of days, to really start to push this lower, to see whether they can get some traction on a move lower. And if we get below 41.66, that's going to open up the door for us to actually move even lower. Yeah. So we'll see what we got out that plays out. And with that, we'll here's the bias chart. We'll get that posted into the room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.